Yankees took the L last night against the Orioles. Wasn't a great outing for us. Bullpen let us down again. Come on, Chad Green. Come on, Chad Green. We need
bullpen letting you down could be. I'm sorry. The bullpen should be good. The starting rotation.
The bullpen has not been good. It's supposed to be the best bullpen in the major leagues. Right. Their ERA is 6.65.
There you go.
That's a problem.
You know what that sounds like?
That's a problem.
That sounds like a man that hosts a New York City radio show.
Oh yeah, you know,
Hey,
listen, you know, baseball moves the needle in New York.
They are passionate New Yorkers about their baseball. All right, let's move on to the other sport Chris Canty is passionate about. The Giants in the NFL. Draft plans for them. They hosted NC State defensive end Bradley Chubb yesterday and will host running back Saquon Barkley over the weekend. Lots of options with that second overall pick, including drafting Eli Manning's replacement or trading down for more picks. Lots to discuss here. Chris, what do you think the Giants should do with that number 2 pick?
Well, I talked to somebody in the organization, and they said that the Giants like one quarterback in this draft. Now, they didn't mention who that quarterback was. I'm just going to assume it's Sam Darnold because, to me, out of the top 4 quarterback prospects, he has the highest floor. But if the Giants don't have their guy sitting there at 2, then I can understand them deciding to trade down with somebody like Buffalo and acquire picks, or one of those other teams that's trying to move up to get one of those other 3 quarterbacks that would be left on the board. But to me, the Giants pick is the pivot point in this draft because we know that the Cleveland Browns are going to take a quarterback at 1. We know the New York Jets moved up to 3 to take a quarterback. So really a lot about what happens in the top 5 or 6 picks in this draft depends on what the Giants do at 2. But in looking at the prospects that will be available, I don't understand how the Giants could justify taking a running back or a position player like Quentin Nelson or Bradley Chubb, seeing as how they have a 37-year-old quarterback, and they're going to have to find a successor for him sooner rather than later. You're not going to be in this position if everything goes according to plan very often. So take advantage of a historically bad season with 13 losses and draft the quarterback, somebody that can be that franchise guy for the next 10 to 12 years. Stabilize that position, you stabilize the franchise.
Now, I read something yesterday that the grades on the top 4 quarterbacks are the highest that we've seen in the NFL, are the grades over 90. We've had 4 of them.
It's the most grades over 90 that we've seen for quarterbacks
in a long time. So I can understand why the Giants, they're not going to be in this position. And you also have to, well, if the quarterbacks weren't there, or would they be forcing it? But the quarterbacks are there. Eli is not going to get any younger. So I would be comfortable with them selecting a quarterback with number 2. I'd also be comfortable with them going with Chubb on the defense, because when the Giants have been good, it's because they can put pressure on the quarterbacks. We know that they, in their heyday, the Giants are an all-weather football team. So that makes you think, well, is he talking about Barkley now? I think that should be the last player. Even though I'd love to see him, offensive player, I'd love to see him and Odell being in the same offense. But moving forward, if they don't go for a quarterback, they have to get Chubb as the defensive end to be a bookend on that defense to put pressure on the quarterback. We know NFL, it's either about the quarterback, protecting the quarterback, or getting to the quarterback. Barkley is a tremendous player, but where the Giants are right now, it just becomes more important either to solidify your future or to let's put plans on being a great defense, which they've had most of their success in franchise history.
I agree almost 100% with what you said, Chris. I think their very best option is to take their quarterback. I think the next best option is to trade back, get a bunch of picks. I'll lay out exactly what I think they could get if they do trade back. I think their worst option potentially is to take best position player available, because in my eyes, to get the value there, it has to be what Dave Edelman said. Go get a Hall of Famer. If you're going to take a non-quarterback at number 2, he has to be demonstrably better than the next best player at his position, demonstrably better than some of these other guys that are going to go 9 or 12 or 15. And so, listen, you guys know I like Josh Rosen. I understand why they like Sam Darnold. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the quarterback they have to take. I think they should take a quarterback. But if they don't want to, if they want with this new regime to be as competitive as possible this year, people talk about, well, they could get 12 and 22 from Buffalo for number 2. They will get more than that. We've seen when a team moves up from, think about what Chicago gave up just to move from 3 to 2. If you're moving up from 12 to 2, you're going to have to give up more than just the 22nd pick. You're probably going to have to either give up your high second rounder this year or your first rounder next year. Now we're talking about adding 3 players. And if you need that D end, At 12, Marcus Davenport, the second best pass rusher in this draft, should be there. If you want the running back, Darius Geis, the second best running back in this draft, could be there at 22. Like, I think if you don't take a quarterback, trading back and getting 3 quality players for a team that will have Odell back, I believe. Yeah, run it back with Eli. Starters. 3 starters, like for a team that needs a lot, and you need cheap players in New York because you've spent so much money on that defense. You just spent a ton of money on left tackle. Like, that makes sense to me.
And you got some contract extensions that you're probably going to have to deal with sooner rather than later. Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
And don't forget about Landon Collins, too, because he's going to be a free agent after this year. So the Giants do need to have some players that can contribute to the team's success at controllable cost. You find those guys in the draft. But one of the things that I think Giants fans have to think about, and it's in recent memory, is remember back to the time when Phil Simms retired and before you drafted Eli Manning. There's about a decade in there where the Giants weren't very good. And they had the likes of Danny Cannell and Kent Graham and Dave Brown and Kerry Collins.
Man,
starting
Danny Cannell was good.
Starting that quarterback. So, I mean, that's exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But exactly. There are people that are concerned.
Yeah, let's not forget.
Yeah, exactly. There are people in that building that are concerned about who's going to be our face for the foreseeable future after Eli Manning. You don't have that in-house. So when you heard John Mara talking about he would like to see a succession plan like they had in Green Bay, the handoff from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, or what you saw with the 49ers, the handoff from Montana to Steve Young, when he's talking like that, it makes me think that the Giants have a conviction on a quarterback and they want to go with a quarterback at number 2.
All the stuff we've heard is how highly rated what you just said, these 4 quarterbacks are, how good they are. They're all different, but they're all very good. Where they fit, we don't really know. We don't 100% know what the exact look of the Giants offense is going to be. So how locked in do you think they would just be at Sam Darnold? And if they had their choice of the other 3 because he was gone, would they maybe shift things a little bit so that they could at least guarantee themselves a quarterback?
Let's say hypothetically Cleveland takes Josh Allen. What do you think the Giants would do then?
Draft Sam Darnold? I
but
think
my
they draft
point
Sam
is,
Darnold.
you think that if you heard they like Sam, Darnold's
well,
off
I didn't hear they like Sam. I'm just assuming that they like Sam. I know they like one quarterback.
So let's assume they like Sam and that Sam goes number 1.
And he goes number 1.
Yeah.
Do you think they would like any of the other quarterbacks enough? Or what you're hearing is they like one guy enough to take it number 2, and if that guy's not there, they're going to do something else.
That's what I heard. They like one guy, and if he's going to be there, then they're probably going to go that direction. If not, I can envision them trading down. I don't see them going the route of a Quentin Nelson or a Saquon Barkley. I just don't see it. I don't see the value in it. So to me, it's important when you consider the separation in talent from the different positions. There's a lot of depth in this draft. Peter King on Monday Morning Quarterback talked about this. Through the first 12 picks, you're probably going to have cornerstone players. And then after that, from 12 through the 3rd round, you got quality starters. So if you don't get your guy, if you don't have your quarterback sitting there at 2, then trade back because your team has a lot of holes to fill, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. You can come away with a lot of quality starters, which is what the Giants are going to need.
Jenna, your concern is that the Giants don't have the luxury, it sounds weird to say, that Cleveland had a couple years ago, which is saying, we can pass on a quarterback this year. We know we're going to be drafting high again next year.
Right.
We can do it again. We know we're going to have a top 5 pick again next year.
It's not like it's a different position. You're talking about the quarterback position.
The Giants hope and believe the defense is going to be better. They got a better head coach, and that they're not going to be drafted in the top 10 anytime soon. That's your concern.